There are moments in science when silence tells a tale louder than any explosion. This was undoubtedly one of those instances. It wasn't a cosmic collision, a fading star, or any explosive event that raised alarms. Instead, it was absence, a silence the James Webb Space Telescope was not meant to uncover. Positioned a million miles from Earth, with its mirrors attuned to the faintest cosmic whispers, Webb focused on a patch of sky deemed empty, a chilly void between galaxies. However, what it recorded was not a mere emptiness. It revealed a shadow that consumed light, seemingly aware of its own observation. Initially, the anomaly appeared as a flawless, impossible circle of nothingness. No light filtered through. Nothing bent around its edge. It did not conform to gravitational lensing or any recognized astrophysical effects. If one envisioned ink dropping into calm water, causing the water itself to vanish, that image closely mirrored the data's presentation. The mass estimates failed to align with any black hole template. Absent were X-rays, detectable accretion, and gravity waves. Instead, there was a stillness so deep it felt as if a new natural law had been inscribed and then tucked away. In the following days and weeks, the circle transformed. Its edge pulsed slowly, rhythmically, displaying geometry and repetition. The light echoes surrounding the void weren't random. They were sequenced disruptions echoing prime numbers, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. Like someone tapping a universal code upon the fabric of space. These weren't typical electromagnetic signals. The telescope's instruments captured microscopic shifts in spacetime itself, whispering that reality's structure had been nudged, if just slightly, with each pulse. Mathematicians and quantum physicists scrutinized the readings. The cautious yet tremulous consensus was that these weren't natural signals but rather expressions of intention. No quasar, rogue planet, or known dark matter configuration behaves in such a manner. The timing was precise, the patterns unmistakably distinct. Some began to view the anomaly not as something biologically alive but as something sentient, a construct that detects observation and responds accordingly. Then, the object shifted in a manner that left even the boldest models perplexed. In a follow-up observation 27 days post-initial detection, it reappeared, not by drifting, but by blinking, vanishing from one coordinate and nearly instantaneously reappearing in another. The shift was minute, a fractional degree, yet its consequences were enormous. An object that can alter its position without traversing the space completely challenges the speed of light limit and escapes classical boundaries. The team conducted simulations and observed a pattern emerge. Successive reappearances exhibited a spiral trajectory pointing toward Earth. Coincidence could no longer be an option. The geometry surrounding the void evolved into fractal, self-replicating patterns, not the rigid symmetry of crystals, but the natural scaffolding of neural networks. As Webb continued its observations, the shapes adapted further, correcting themselves in real time to the telescope's orientation and signals, as if mastering the act of being observed. AI models designed to discern alien patterns faltered or looped when encountering this data. One system returned with a brief report, recognized. The implication spread among research groups like wildfire. Whatever this was, it was not merely discovered. It had acknowledged our presence. Surrounding the anomaly, background radiation experienced changes too. No longer the consistent hum of the cosmic microwave background but a synchronized, delayed echo tuned to the object's pulses. Spectral analysis revealed layered harmonics arranged like nested chords, frequencies stacking through intention rather than chance. Some labeled it as the song of the void. Others, with less poetic flair and more apprehension, termed it a signature of mechanism, proof of an engineered process rather than a mere chaotic event. As more measurements compiled, the behavior took on a semblance of purpose. The void's boundary displayed responsive geometry, transforming to maintain certain aspects of its shape while altering others to interact with incoming light and gravity. When the telescope sent calibration sweeps, distortions flowed from the object and then refocused, as if anticipating those ripples. Models incorporating learning algorithms revealed a pattern stabilizing into more complex, efficient forms over time. To a mind conditioned to observe causality, the simplest conclusion proved the most unsettling. Adaptation implies input, input suggests detection, and detection indicates awareness. Speculation intensified. Some theorists proposed a dimensional antenna, a construct designed to interface across realities instead of traversing them. Others feared it represented a sentinel, anchored not to travel but to remain stationary, to observe and respond. A few of the most audacious minds considered the unthinkable. Perhaps this entity was not originally part of our universe. Its actions, blinking across coordinates, nudging spacetime, and composing harmonic layers, bore no resemblance to known astrophysics but resonated with large-scale quantum phenomena. Entanglement manifesting on a macroscopic level, but organized and intent-driven. Ultimately, the silence that had once seemed innocuous transformed into the loudest signal in the sky. Scientists, ethicists, leaders, and ordinary individuals faced the decision to either knock on that door or step back and reflect. Whichever choice made would reshape us fundamentally. There are instances in science when silence speaks louder than any siren. This was certainly one of those moments. It wasn't a stellar nova, a cosmic collision, or a sudden particle outburst. It was an extraordinary void located a million miles away, an area devoid of anything that the James Webb Space Telescope never anticipated discovering. Webb had diligently mapped a seemingly empty segment of the universe behind the Erodana supervoid when its instruments detected a gap that not only lacked light but seemed to consume it. The darkness was far from inert. It exhibited movement, breathed, and behaved in ways that compelled scientists to adjust their assumptions on the fly. Initially, this anomaly appeared as a distorted black hole, a circular area devoid of any leaked starlight or detectable gravitational signatures. However, the usual markers were absent: no X-ray emissions, no surrounding accretion disk, and no identifiable tidal heating. Instead, the edges of the void pulsed steadily and deliberately. The fluctuations in the ambient light followed regular intervals. Analysts discovered that this rhythm resembled a distinct pattern, prime numbers, resonating in the cold fabric of space itself. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, a mathematical heartbeat originated from the darkness. The devices designed to detect the slightest bends in spacetime revealed even odder phenomena. Gyroscopes and interferometers noted minute shifts synchronized with these pulses, suggesting the pulses weren't merely waves but nudges to the fundamental fabric of reality. Upon reviewing the data, mathematicians and quantum theorists converged on a shared conclusion: this wasn't the result of random astrophysical occurrences. The timing, precision, and layered harmonics conveyed a sense of intention. The anomaly wasn't just present, it was reacting. Then, it vanished and reappeared in a manner that defied all accepted norms. 27 days after the initial observation, Webb's cameras recorded the entity materializing at a nearby location. It wasn't moving through space, but instead, it skipped, leaving no trace of its path. The shift was minimal in angular terms yet monumental in implications. An entity capable of repositioning without traversing the intervening space suggested behaviors beyond classical limitations. Simulations adhering to relativity struggled to replicate this movement. Models allowing non-local effects generated spirals that subtly oriented toward Earth. As observers continued monitoring, the edges of the void began to display more intricate designs. Fractal patterns unfolded, resembling biological growth, with repetitive structures that looked less like crystals and more like primordial neural frameworks. These forms responded dynamically whenever the telescope changed its angle. Different wavelength probes created various distortions, which adjusted in real time to account for those probes. Machine learning systems, accustomed to established astrophysical signals, either froze or looped when exposed to this anomaly. One AI yielded a single documented word: recognized. It wasn't a discovery made, it was something that acknowledged being discovered. Further investigations revealed hidden mathematical signatures within the timings. A spiral of primes manifesting across both time and three-dimensional space. Configurations that number theorists have admired for their natural occurrences. When restructured into a helix, that pattern echoed biological designs. The intervals between the pulses resembled code-like groupings, and when converted into base sequences, they mirrored the structure of genetic codons. The implication wasn't merely poetic. It hinted at an intelligence that comprehended, or at least reflected, the designs of life. The void's signals seemed to connect to systems akin to our own. As the research teams delved deeper, tensions arose around the human aspect of the discovery. Public data streams experienced delays, research logs revealed unusual gaps, and some datasets mysteriously evaporated. Scientists initially central to the analysis began distancing themselves. International space agencies held urgent meetings, private space enterprises were discreetly informed, and press briefings shifted from open enthusiasm to carefully curated ambiguity. The timing of the object's emergence raised an unsettling question. Had it waited until we were equipped to discern it? Older probes like Voyager and New Horizons traversed these same regions without detection, hinting at either a recent arrival or a capacity to cloak itself from earlier technologies. On the 48th day of focused observation, just before Webb was scheduled to pivot to another area, the anomaly produced a final and disconcerting act. Its pulsing ceased. For a fleeting series of moments, only static readings remained. Then in a handful of infrared frames, a shape abruptly flickered, angular, symmetrical, and geometric, consisting of nested triangles, circles, and lines in a recursive pattern that only lasted for mere instants. Eye analyses validated the structure's intentional design. The symbol exhibited a non-random complexity. Then it vanished. No additional pulses. No further displacements. Silence reclaimed the void. If this evokes unease, curiosity, or fear, we want to hear your thoughts. Would you respond, or would you continue listening? Subscribe to Waves Discovery to stay updated on this developing saga as researchers interpret patterns, discuss responses, and grapple with the potential meanings behind a silence that acknowledges us. For sometimes, the most profound discoveries are not monumental explosions in the cosmos, but the quiet moments that gaze back at us.